Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our monthly webinar series focused on individual and collective well-being with Kaiser Permanente, Alliance for a Healthier Generation, and the California Department of Education. My name is Stacy Boretsky. My pronouns are she, her, and I work in the Community Health Department at Kaiser Permanente, Southern California. We will be recording today's session and broadcasting live on Facebook. If you were unable to attend last month's session, you can now access the recording on the CDE's website. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom tray to ask questions. Due to limited time, we may not be able to respond to all questions, but we will do our best to follow up to ensure questions are answered. We hope this series will provide you with strategies you can easily incorporate into your day so that it doesn't feel like one more thing to do. Also, we hope today's session helps you tune into your purpose or your why and its contribution to a positive work culture. Now go ahead and grab a pen and paper. And with that, I will pass it over to you, Yasemin.
Thanks, Stacy. And welcome everyone to our 5th session of individual and collective well-being among school staff, educators, and administrators. I cannot believe that we're in our 5th session. It feels like the year is just flying by. And we're going to focus today on really identifying our why, to increase impact and also meaning among our teams. If you're a first-time joiner, thank you for being here. And if you have been with us in previous sessions, welcome back. We have been talking about relationships, right? We've been talking about transformative relationships. And a huge element of being well at work is all about having healthy relationships with those we work with, right? And so we are going to continue to ground in fostering and building transformative relationships. So we're committing to the nurturing of relationships and the learning and unlearning. And we're going to continue to become more self-aware and aware of others as well. And from now until April, we're going to go even deeper into elements of team culture. And we're going to build upon that transformative relationship. And we're going to focus on understanding ourselves and different perspective of others. And today we're going to be using 2 main tools that you can download and use as we go through the strategies together. The first one is the core values survey, and the second one is around feedback. And so if you're going to click that link that's in the chat box for you right now, you are going to be asked to log in. And if you don't have a login right now for the Action Center, it takes about 30 seconds. So you can do that as I'm talking to you. And you will then have access to all of our resources, trainings, all at no cost to you. So that is something that you can do. Or if that feels like a little bit too much, you can just grab a piece of paper, a pen, and you can take notes with that. It's going to be a reflection heavy session, or you can actually reflect, right? You can just think about the things we're talking about. If you haven't moved today, I highly encourage you to take this as a walking meeting if you can, or you can kind of move around. It's a lot of reflection and thinking. It might even feel a little bit like a workshop today. So lots of reflection and thinking time. And today we're primarily going to be using Menti as we have in other sessions. And you can click that link in the chat box or scan the QR code. And to practice Menti, I would like to check in with you right now. And I really love Menti because, one, it's completely anonymous. So if there's folks on here that you already know and you want to kind of engage in a more free way, you can do it that way. And it's also visually appealing, right? So we're going to practice right now. And I'm going to ask you to click an image of a dog, of a little puppy, that you resonate with in this moment as you check in and see how you're showing up into this space. So we got a dog in the red zone who's like, I'm not quite sure I want to be here. I got you. We have the dog with the glasses, great. And we're not going to ask you to explain why you feel or you picked the particular dog you did. This is just about checking in, and it's a bit silly, I know, but it is a way to kind of see how you're showing up into this space. And if the mentee feels like a little bit too much for you right now, like you don't want to engage in that technology, that's totally okay. We're also checking out the chat box. So you can put it into the chat box. You can say, oh, I feel like the dog in the red, or I feel like the dog in the blue. And if you would like to be a little bit more passive today, that's totally okay too, right? Take what you need and show up as it serves you. And so thank you so much for sharing that. I know this is a silly way to kind of check in with each other, but it does kind of bring a little bit of self-awareness of how we're coming into this space. And for me, I will say I am definitely the dog in the grass who's like, yeah, and a combination of that and also the dog in the sunglasses, which is my general sense of being, right? Like, I'm like, hey, I'm chill, I'm here, and happy to be with you. Well, my name is Yasemin Corzo, and I am an associate director on the Whole Child National Health Whole Child Health National Advisor team at the Alliance for a Healthier Generation. And my pronouns are she, her, and I am coming to you from Los Angeles. I'm so excited to be co-facilitating with one of my team members, Christina, who I'm going to pass the mic to.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Rodriguez, and I'm a national advisor on the Whole Child Health team specializing in trauma-informed approaches. My pronouns are also she, her, and I also live in Los Angeles, and I'm super excited to be here with you all today.
Thank you for being with us today, Christina. Our work is funded and supported in partnership with Kaiser Permanente. We work with Kaiser to provide a variety of resources and supports to schools and districts all across the country, all at no cost. And you can learn more about the variety of ways Kaiser Permanente supports schools with their Thriving Schools initiative with the link in the chat box.
All right, so like Yasemin said, today we're going to continue our conversation about transformative relationships, because we know that relationships are an essential part of the workplace. Whether you work on a large team, a small team, from home, or at school, there is no way of getting around relationships at work. And we also know that relationships at work can greatly contribute to our sense of well-being in either a positive or a negative way. I'm sure we've all had at least one coworker that we've really connected with really well and felt like they were a huge part of why we thrived at work. And then, of course, we've probably all had that coworker that we struggled with a little bit. And so our goal today is to help you form more transformative relationships with your teammates, even the ones that you might struggle with, because we know that those are the kinds of relationships that can support our well-being, our sense of purpose, and just make it fun to show up at work every day. So we want you to recall a meaningful relationship you've had with a coworker. How would you describe that relationship? What are some words that might come to mind for you? So when you've got that person in mind, go ahead and share some of those words with us on Menti, and we will read them out. So I'm seeing loving, fun, caring, loyal, supportive, inspiring. Coming in so fast now. Collaborative, best friend. Let's see. Supportive is still number one. Kind, loyal, non-judgmental. Safe, that's a great one. Approachable, honest, vulnerable. That is a really good one. We're going to talk a lot about that today. Values my feelings. Good listener, mentor, accepted, role model, compassionate, reliable, team player. And I'm still seeing supportive being the biggest word. That looks like a really common one for us. And fun too. Fun is always a good quality to have in a coworker. Shares about themselves. Perfect. Sees me. Grounded, thoughtful, trustworthy. Awesome. So these are all such great words to describe relationships with coworkers. Thank you all so much for sharing. And so our hope for you is that you can continue to form these kinds of relationships with your teammates. Awesome. So today we're going to offer you these tools to help you understand your colleagues a bit better so that you can build more of these transformative relationships with each other. So we'll define meaning and impact and understand how these things contribute to how we show up at work and how our teammates are showing up at work. We'll do a core values survey to help you identify the values that drive you at work and support your sense of why. We'll learn how to give effective feedback using our BOOST model. And like Yasmin said, we'll have a ton of time to reflect and practice together. So now I'll pass it back to Yasmin to get us started.
Thanks, Christina. So last month, if you were part of the session, and it's okay if you weren't, we started talking about the elements of effective teams. So impact, meaning, structure and clarity, dependability, and psychological safety, right? And all of these come from the research that came from Google Rework Project. And if you haven't checked that out, please do. And it has changed my way of kind of looking at the workplace. And over the next couple of sessions, we're going to focus on all of these elements in different sections. And today we're going to start with impact and also meaning. And psychological safety, which is what you see right in the middle of that image, is the goal. Okay, so it's definitely my goal. So I'm not going to be shy about that, that in my ideal world, we are all psychologically safe at work, right? That would be my goal that would be my dream for the world. And so everything that we're going to be doing is in service of that. And I do want to just be realistic and put it out there that this work is not going to change overnight, and it's not going to change with everyone, right? I encourage you to start with the easy folks in your life. And it does require a level of commitment and intentionality from individuals, and also from the collective, and also from the system, right? For it to be a systematic change of how we show up to the work. But today we're going to focus on individual practices and peer-to-peer practices that we can engage in to start this work in our workplaces. And now I'd like for you to consider that everyone you work with has their own why, right? Their own reason for showing up to the workplace, which may look very different from your why. And one way that we can build those transformative relationships with our team members is to honor their why. But first, we need to spend a little bit more time reflecting on our why, and then to be able to articulate and communicate that to others. And the way that we're going to do this today is to really ground in values, because values are, as we're going to see, very actionable. We can do something with this. And impact is the belief that your work matters and it actually makes a difference, right? Similar to meaning, consider that not only is it important to you that your work matters, but it's important to your teammates. And everyone wants to feel like their work matters, like they're actually creating change, right? And in this virtual room that we're in right now we have 188 people in this space with us. And I just want you to consider that we are surrounded by some of the most purpose-driven humans on this planet, right? Y'all are educators. We all work in the service of children. And so purpose is exactly what drives us. And to know if we're actually making the difference, right? If we're honoring our values, if we are actually driving forward with what we believe in, one of the best ways we can do that is through feedback. And feedback can be difficult, it can be awkward, and we're going to work through a framework together, and we're actually going to build some feedback that you can take away today and share with your teammates.
All right, so let's go ahead and do a deep dive into identifying our why and our sense of meaning that we get from work. And to do this, we're going to take a core values survey together. So we hear a lot about values, but really, what are they? And according to Elena Aguilar, core values are deeply held personal codes that reflect our ethics. Our values orient, drive, and anchor us, meaning that they guide all of our actions and our behavior. They move us forward, and they keep us grounded in why we do what we do. So we're going to do a reflection activity together. And so you'll need a piece of paper and something to write with, a pen or a pencil. You can also use a Word document on your computer or just your phone to take notes. So I'm going to give us a minute to gather some of those items. And when you've got them, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button in Mentimeter so I know that we're all ready to go. Awesome. I'm seeing a bunch of thumbs up come in. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is write down all of the values that resonate with you. And I'm only going to give you 45 seconds to do this. So we're going to do it pretty fast. So don't think too hard about it. Just write down the first value words that come to mind. And if you need help coming up with ideas of words, you can use the list that we'll provide on the next slide, or you can use the list provided in the chat box to help spark some inspiration. All right, so here's the list of values. Your 45 seconds begins now. I'm going to go ahead and start our timer. So go ahead and start writing down all of the values that resonate with you. There are no right or wrong answers. There's no minimum or maximum. Just write everything that comes to mind. And I'll let you know when time is coming to a close. Okay, that is time. So go ahead and stop wherever you're at. Whatever list you came up with is perfect. And the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to shorten that list. So we're going to take another 30 seconds, and I want you to look at that list and try to narrow it down to your top 5 values. So just circle the top 5 values that are the most important to you from that list. So I'm going to go ahead and start our timer again, this time just for 30 seconds. So that starts now. And again, just go with your first instincts. And I'll let you know when we're almost done. Okay, that's time. So go ahead and stop wherever you're at. Give us a thumbs up if you were able to complete that in 30 seconds. I see a lot of them coming through already. Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to ask you to narrow it down again. So finally, for the next 30 seconds, I want you to narrow that list down to your top 3 values. And I know that can be super hard, but I also know that you can do it. So just go with your first instincts. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer again for 30 seconds. Think about what are those top 3 values on that list. And then when you have them, go ahead and share them with us on Mentimeter. And I already see a bunch coming through, so that's perfect. All right, I see respect is one of the biggest ones. Kindness, service, integrity, family, growth, humor. Let's see, equity, trust. Awesome. So for those of you who are still thinking your 30 seconds is over, go ahead and continue to put those words in the Mentimeter. And I'm still seeing kindness and respect being the biggest ones. That means most people are typing those in. I also see acceptance, trustworthy, helpful, compassionate, responsibility, growth. Growth is one of my top values too. So what are you all noticing about this list that's coming up on the screen? Look at the words that are repeated the most. And this is just such a great reminder for us that we all have so much more in common with each other than we think that we do. And if we're not taking the time to kind of think about these things with each other, we wouldn't know that. All right, so great job. We are now going to start to tie our values to our day-to-day work. So I want you to grab that pen and paper again, and I want you to start to think about all of the things that you do in your workday. And as these things come to you, I want you to write them down and just make a list. So you might have on your list, I lesson plan, or I teach a history class. Maybe you offer one-on-one support to students. Maybe you spend a lot of your day reading and writing emails or talking to parents. Maybe you lead meetings. So think about all the tasks that you do. There's no task too large or too small to put on this list. No right or wrong answers here. And I'm just going to give you a few more moments to do that. And when you've got your list, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button so I know that we are good to move on. Okay, I'm seeing a few come through. I'll give us a little more time on this. It's hard to think about everything you do in a day. Maybe you also interact with colleagues. Maybe you take a break during the day and you want to put that down. All right, any more thumbs up from you all? You ready to keep going? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and keep going. And if more things come to mind to you, just go ahead and start writing those down too. All right, so now what we're going to do is I want you to find the places where the work that you do intersects with those values that you picked. So what do you do at work that aligns with those top 3 values on your list? So an example for me, connection is one of my top values. And when I used to work with young people and they'd come into my office, I would be super intentional about taking time to build rapport with them before we dove into deeper conversations or started checking off our to-do list items. So for me, that was one piece of my day where my value of connection aligned with what I was actually doing. So I want you to take a moment to circle some of those items on your list where you feel like you can really live out your values. And when you've got some ideas, go ahead and share them with us on Mentimeter. I see someone saying serve families, support young people, support staff with budget questions, teamwork. I see emails, texting, speaking with parents, referrals, listening. That's a good one. I didn't even think of that. Meeting with parents, help employees understand health and welfare benefits. That's huge. Research, help and provide support to coworkers, provide mental health resources. I love this one. At work, I'm happy. That's great. Reinforce expectations. I send update emails that keep people organized, which supports my reliability. Huge. Thank you so much for making that connection. Let's see, helping students navigate college and assist students with submitting all their required documents for financial aid. Direct service to children and their families. Someone says, I try to just be kind during my day and listen to students. Yeah. One-on-one time. Connection with team members. I'm also going to go ahead and look over here at our Zoom chat too. See people saying that they're patient and understanding. They're involved. Awesome. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to go ahead and move us forward. All right, so now I want you to think about what you do at work that does not align with your values. And remember that it might not be the task itself that throws us out of alignment with our values, but maybe it's just the way that we do it. So for example, if a young person comes into my office and I'm having a really busy day, I don't have a ton of time to spend with them, I might really rush them through our session and miss out on connecting with them because I'm just focused on moving through this time really quickly, knocking out our to-do list items, and I'm just not able to live into connection in that moment because I'm feeling super rushed. So try to think about those times in your day where you're just not able to live out your values. And this can be a really tricky question to answer because we have to do some deep self-reflection and it might be uncomfortable. But when you've got some ideas and you're comfortable, go ahead and share them with us on Menti. And remember that all of our answers are anonymous. So I see stress. Stress throws me out of my values. My work keeps me away from my family. Yeah, that's huge, especially if family is a top value for you. Disciplining students. Teaching behavior rather than content. Not telling people all the information because management said not to. Yeah, that could be really hard, especially if maybe one of your values is trust and transparency. Losing my temper. Thank you so much for bringing that to the room. I'm sure all of us have experienced that before, and that I know that really throws me out of line with my values. Rushing from one thing to the next, getting to work late, daydreaming, yeah. Taking on others' work. Fatigue brings impatience, grading all night. Feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, totally. Sending an email rather than picking up the phone. I hear you with that. Not speaking up at meetings. Yeah, especially if maybe one of your values is leadership or collaboration. too busy to do a thorough or clear job, trying to multitask, working through my lunch break. I could see how that could really throw you out of alignment with a value of maybe self-care. Let's see, leaving work late, withholding resources because of upper guidance, making assumptions about coworkers. Thank you all so much for sharing. These are such great examples. All right, so now we're going to take it a step further. And I want us to think about what we can stop doing, keep doing, and start doing to stay aligned with our values. And we'll go through each one by one. So we're going to start with stop first. So I want you to think about what is one thing that you can stop doing to help you stay aligned with your values. So if I were answering this question, I might say, I'm not going to book back-to-back meetings with students anymore because I know that I'll end up feeling rushed and I won't get that time that I need to connect with them. That's really super important to me. So when you have an idea of something that you want to stop doing, go ahead and throw that in Mentimeter. Working slower. Stop skipping self-care. Stop making myself smaller, staying over in the evening, gossip. That's a good one. Procrastinating. Stop letting students get away with poor behavior when I'm tired. Stop not eating lunch. Yes, I'm all about taking the lunch break. Stop staying quiet when I want to say something applicable. That is such a good one. I like this one too. Stop multitasking. When working with students, I'll focus on process rather than product. Oh, that's such a good one. I see a lot of people saying they want to stop multitasking. Stop looking at my phone instead of listening. That's great. Stop apologizing on behalf of dysfunctional systems. I also see a lot of people saying, stop never taking a break or lunch. So many of us are guilty of that. Oh, this is such a good one. Stop being so hard on myself. That is great. Let's see. Stop getting involved in problems that aren't mine. Yep. Awesome. All right, so we're going to move on to our next item, which is keep. So what's something that you're already doing that's working really well for you that you want to keep doing? Maybe you want to keep doing it more often. If I was answering this question, I'd say I want to keep doing icebreakers with students at the top of our meetings because they're super fun and they really allow us to connect with each other and build that rapport that's super important to me. So I want to continue doing that. So what is something that you're already doing that's aligning with your values that you want to continue to do? And maybe even be more intentional about it. Okay, I see listening, holding my boundaries, promoting kindness, continue to help employees and coworkers. To think before I speak or act. To give coworkers time and attention. Keep checking in with my students. Advocating for students. Meditating to start my workday. I want to start doing that. Let's see, giving myself a mental break. I want to stay patient and kind. I want to continue to check my bias. Communicate clearly, speak up, and understand that it's okay not to know how to do something. Yes. I'm going to check out the Zoom chat box too. Someone's saying, I want to continue to not interrupt others when they speak, doubting my abilities. Perfect. Oh, this is great. Someone's saying laugh. I just want to keep laughing during work. Me too. Listening to classical music, staying curious. Love that one. I see a lot of people saying in this Menti that you just want to continue being kind. And I think that is such a great place to be at. Oh, I want to end work on time, take breaks, ask for help. These are so great. These are better examples than I could have come up with. Good job, everybody. All right, let's move on to our next item. Finally, it's start. So I want you to think about one new thing that you want to start doing to help you stay aligned with your values. Maybe this is something that you've seen a coworker do, something that you wanted to do for a long time, but it kind of felt hard to start. If it were me, I'd probably say I want to start blocking out an hour for lunch on my calendar so that I have time to decompress between meetings so that I'm more enthusiastic and present and able to connect better with students. So let us know what's something you want to start doing. Okay, I see someone saying walk breaks. I want to learn a new skill or task. Be flexible. I want to talk with coworkers more. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to find time in the day to do that. I want to get more sun, communicate what's important to me. That's very on theme for today. I want to take breaks to perform better. I love this one. I want to grind my coffee and do a pour over. That sounds like a really nice morning ritual. Oh, I want to get a better night's sleep. Someone else saying they want to sleep earlier, listen more. Use my lunchtime for me and not for work. Yeah. I want a goal set for the week. Have lunch with coworkers I care about to create relationships. I want to take an off-campus lunch once a month. I see a lot of breaks coming in. It sounds like everyone is really wanting to take more breaks, take their lunch breaks, plan more fun activities. I think the theme I'm seeing is I want to rest more and I want to connect more with people I care about at work. These are so great. Awesome. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Yasmin now, and she'll keep us going.
Thanks, Christina. And I just want to kind of like pause for the cause and say thank you to all of you, because you all never cease to amaze me about how vulnerable and how open you are, even in this virtual space. I always find community with you. So thank you so much for being open with us. And so as you've identified what you want to start doing or stop doing or keep doing, which those lists are just incredible, I'd like for you to start to think about, what do you need from your team, right? What do you need from the people that you work with to be able to do those things? So one of my values is love, right? It's always been one of my drivers. It's my grounder. Like I love love. And so the last time I did this activity, and I do this activity every so often, right? Just to kind of check in with myself, see how things are going. And the last time that I did this activity, I noticed that one of my strong ways of bonding and building community with my coworkers was through complaining. And I'm not proud of it, but it was through gossiping, right? And I would engage in gossiping about people, and I'm really not proud of it, but that's what it was, right? And so when I was reflecting on it, I realized that that was not serving my values. And what I needed from my teammates was for them to not come up to me and to gossip, right? To like talk badly about people behind their backs with me. And it felt awkward to have that conversation with them. But because I was grounded in my value, because I knew that it was tied to something that was very, very, very important to me, I was met with compassion and understanding by my teammates. And furthermore, we actually realized that like that was not serving any of us. And so it actually started changing the way in which we interacted with each other. So it's really powerful to know what's important to you and also what you need from others, right? So you're saying to me, I need feedback. I need positivity. I need encouragement. I need a can-do attitude. I need understanding, empathy, and compassion, support, trust, continue to support each other. I need my team to show up, yes, right? To be real, honesty, integrity, encouragement. Speak to me, not at me. Please, yes, that should be for everyone. Connection and responsiveness, right? Feedback about collaborative activities. All right, so let's keep all of this in mind, okay? It's what do you need from people? But what I'm going to ask you to also think about is, who do you need it from, okay? And we know that giving direct feedback can be hard, all right? Like, I know that that's uncomfortable sometimes, and sometimes it's culturally uncomfortable, right? I come from two cultures that are very indirect. So when somebody talks to me about like direct communication, I'm like, no, thank you. That is not something that I'm comfortable doing. So rather than thinking about like direct feedback, I like to think about it as specific feedback, right? Really being able to know and to articulate exactly what it is that I need from another person so that they are set up for success, right? If it's specific, then they know what to do with that feedback. And feedback is so necessary for us to grow and for our relationships to grow, right? To stay in that transformative space. So now we're going to get into like the workshop-y part of building some feedback for folks. So I'm going to ask you to pick one of the items that you identified, either something that you want to stop doing, something that you want to keep doing, or something that you want to start doing, right? So a lot of you identified taking breaks, for example. Maybe that's something you want to focus on right now. One of you and a couple of you kind of identified this. I want to stop making myself smaller. That's something incredible to focus on, right? So whatever you pick, just pick one thing, and maybe you want to pick lower hanging fruit, and that's totally great. So now that you've identified what it is that you want to build feedback on, I just want you to also write down for yourself or think about who it is that you're asking it from, okay? And I want a name, like don't put it in a chat box or don't put it anywhere where I can see it, but I want you to think of an actual person or a couple of people who this feedback is for, so that at the end of this, you can go and tell them, okay? And we're going to first decide what type of feedback are we giving about this thing, right? So that might come in the form of evaluation, appreciation, or coaching. So evaluation is exactly what it sounds like. We do it all day, every day, right? There's standards where we're ranking folks intended to align or to inform decision-making. There's appreciation. And this is to see, acknowledge, connect, motivate, right? To thank somebody. And then there's coaching. And so coaching, we can think about two different ways or a couple of different ways. One is to help the receiver expand their knowledge or sharpen their skill set. And the second way of thinking about it is to address the giver's feelings of an imbalance in the relationship. So the way that I like to think about coaching, like if I'm giving a friend or a colleague some coaching feedback, is giving that person information about how to be in better relationship with me, right? So we're going to go through two examples, and one's going to be for coaching and one's going to be for appreciation. So the first one is coaching, and I'm going to identify what it is that I want to do. So I want to start to collaborate more with my team, okay? What do I need? I need more opportunities to collaborate. Seems pretty straightforward, right? And who do I need it from? I need it from my team lead. So I'm going to give my team lead some feedback. So it starts, I'd like to give you some feedback on the team meeting you led on Monday. I appreciated that you provided an agenda ahead of time so I could prepare. However, I noticed that the agenda wasn't followed during the actual meeting. That made it hard for me to contribute and collaborate with colleagues, which I highly value. In the future, it would greatly help me to stick to the structure you set beforehand. So the second one we're going to go through is appreciative feedback, which is the unsung hero. I love appreciative feedback, but sometimes we kind of tend to generalize, right? We kind of sweep over it. We say, you did a great job, but that does not really give me an idea of what I did well, right? Why was it good? What can I do again? So in this example, we're going to focus on appreciative. And what do I want to do? So I want to continue to be an active part of my community. What do I need? I need to rely on my teammates. And who do I need it from? And this is true, by the way, that this is my entire team. This is a big team of folks that I work with, and I need it from all of them. But today I'm going to give feedback to Christina because she showed up for me and she did something that was wonderful. So Christina, I wanted to share how much I appreciated you taking some of those admin tasks off my plate yesterday. I've been juggling a lot lately. Knowing that I can ask for help and that it will be received with empathy and without judgment really made me feel cared for and part of a community. So now that we've had a couple of examples, I'm going to pass it back to Christina, who's going to walk us through a framework.
Well, thank you so much for that feedback. That made me feel amazing. Really appreciate that. Okay, so now it is your turn to come up with your own piece of feedback that you want to give to someone at work. So earlier, Yasmin asked all of us to pick one thing we're going to build feedback around. It can be something you want to stop doing, keep doing, or start doing. So when you've got your idea ready to go ahead and let us know through Mentimeter which one you're picking so you can pin the image that best describes the type of feedback that you want to give. Something you want to stop doing, keep doing, or start doing. Okay, I see one vote for stop. Some keep, start, perfect. Let's see which one gets the most. A lot of people picking start. They want to start doing something new. Awesome, so I can trust that we've all got an idea now. Okay, so next I'm going to walk you through the BOOST model so that you can make that piece of feedback the most effective feedback it can be. BOOST stands for balanced, objective, observed, specific, and timely. Let's dig into each element a little further. So balanced feedback is ideally a mix of positive motivational feedback and then some more critical developmental feedback. So if we revisit that example that Yasmin gave us earlier, that person didn't just give critical feedback about how their colleague didn't follow the agenda, but instead that person started with positive feedback. And they said, I love that you prepared an agenda ahead of time and sent it to us. That was super helpful for me. And then they led into the more critical feedback about how the agenda wasn't followed. So their feedback was pretty balanced. Okay, next is objective. So when we give feedback, we really want to only share concrete facts based on actions and behaviors, rather than sharing our perception of something, our own interpretation or assessment of it. So from our earlier example, that person kept their feedback based on facts, saying, you didn't follow the agenda, instead of assigning an assumed meaning to it, like, you purposely tried to leave me out of that meeting. So their feedback was very objective. Okay, next we have observed. So your feedback should include only the things that you saw and heard, rather than what someone else saw and heard and reported back to you. That way you can really own the feedback and you can confidently vouch for it. So if we go back to our earlier example, that person only shared about their personal experience in that meeting by saying it was hard for me to contribute and collaborate with my teammates, instead of saying everybody told me they had a hard time with it too. So that feedback was only about their observed experience. All right, next we've got specific. So when you're giving feedback, we don't want to be vague about what we've seen or heard. Instead, we want to provide more detail. So from our example earlier, that person didn't just say, hey, thanks for helping me out the other day. Instead, they went into detail about what they liked, why they liked it, by saying that they know that they can ask for help, it'll be received with empathy and without judgment. They really kind of took it to a deeper level. And then lastly, we have timely. And so you want to make sure that you give your feedback as soon as possible so that the details of the event are fresh in both of your minds. So again, in our earlier example, the person went to their colleague the next day to give them feedback rather than waiting a whole month to talk about it. All right, so now it's your turn to take that piece of feedback that you identified earlier and boost it. So take a moment to think about how you can make that piece of feedback balanced, objective, observed, specific, and timely. I know this can be hard to come up with something on the spot, but remember, we're after progress, not perfection. So your example doesn't have to be perfect. And so when you have an idea of a piece of feedback that you want to share, go ahead and share it with us in Mentimeter. And remember that all of your responses will be anonymous. Definitely leave names out of it, but go ahead and share that with us on Menti when you come up with an idea. I know this one's tricky, so it might be that we're all really taking some time to think about it. And you can also use the chat box too. Okay, that one coming in, it says specific activities to support my team building. Okay, so maybe you want to ask a team member to start doing more specific activities. Perfect. And then I see Sean saying in the chat box to everyone, if you're on your phone, you can scroll up so that you can see the Menti box where you can type everything in. And you can also use the Zoom chat box as well. All right, someone's saying, I'm so lucky, my team is amazing. Sounds like that's going to be appreciative feedback that you want to give. Okay, someone else is saying that they're going to ask for help taking breaks. Perfect. Someone's saying, I want to stop taking on people's small tasks. Oh, I want to offer feedback that people can ask me for support. See, someone's saying they want to give appreciative, or I appreciate receiving feedback from you when I behave in a way that may make you feel disrespected. That's great. I like how you followed the agenda. Awesome. Okay, I see some more answers coming in. I'm going to ask my team leader to communicate to all the people on the team instead of one. Thank you so much for making that bigger for all of us. I see someone saying, I need to elaborate on my explanation of how and what I appreciate. Yeah, that's super important. Say the good first, then the issue. Then provide a possible solution or resolution. Awesome. So you want to give more balanced feedback, it sounds like. Okay, we've got, let's see, I observed that no one responded in the meeting this morning. This leaves me feeling frustrated because I had a lot to say on the subject, but didn't want to talk too much. Could you ask each of us in the meeting to respond? That's perfect. I see so many things in there. I see it being objective, specific. Great job, everybody. All right, let's read off a few more. All right, I see. Ask my team leader to communicate to all of the people on the team instead of one. Perfect. All right, we'll read off one more. Let's see, what about this one? I need some help creating lesson topics. Okay, I'll go with that one. It's so helpful to debrief with you guys. Our work is very trying and more minds are better than one. I have a case of, and before I share out the issues and concerns from today, I would like us to hold the suggestions. So it sounds like you were giving a bit of appreciative feedback on it being really helpful to debrief. Okay, one more. I need some help creating lesson topics that will enable your students to demonstrate their understanding of the concepts that you have been covering in your class projects. So you're asking for help, making it super specific. Awesome. These are all so great. Great job, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Yasmin now to close us out.
The fact that you all came up with those pieces of feedback in such a short amount of time really shows that you're amazing, truly. That is not easy to do, and it's really wonderful that you engaged in this, and we so appreciate that you did. And so now it's time to take some action. We highly encourage you to complete the core values survey with your teams, right? It can be in a staff meeting, maybe in an informal situation, and even in a performance conversation, right? If you are a leader, having this with your staff can really help with like setting some goals as well. You can also talk about values with the young people in your life, with your students, right? I have done this as a teacher myself. And one, I know that young people love to learn more about themselves, right? They love these types of surveys. And then the conversations that come up around values can be some of the most profound conversations you've probably had in your life. So I do encourage you to use this tool in all these different ways. And then share, right? Share out your values, share out what's important to you, because no one's going to guess or know what they are unless you put it out there. And then I'm going to ask you to share that feedback. You all just came up with very specific boosted feedback. So whether it's through an email, maybe it's a conversation tomorrow, maybe in a couple of days, share that feedback that you have for that person that you had in your mind. And you can use the feedback toolkit that we've shared with you to also engage in different frameworks. There's many different tools in there that's specific around feedback so that you can continue those transformative relationships and the growth within that. And as we close out, I am going to ask to eat some of our own cooking, right? We've been talking about feedback all day, and we're going to ask for feedback from you. So by scanning this QR code or clicking that link in the chat box, you can give us some boosted feedback. And we really do read every single thing that comes through. It's completely anonymous, so there are no identifiers. We look at all of the quantitative and qualitative data that comes back, and it really does help us know, does this content resonate with you, right? And we do use that information to help our continuous improvement in our growth. And right now, or when you receive the follow-up email next week, I encourage you to join your school or district team in the Healthier Generation Action Center. So you probably joined the Action Center earlier in the session to get into the resource, and you can access the Thriving Schools Integrated Assessment. And this assessment was developed in partnership with Kaiser Permanente, and it is a tool to self-assess what is currently in place and work together to advance health and learning with an integrated approach. Next to each evidence-based question is a related resource to implement healthier practices, right? And all of this is at no cost. And then you can always reach out to us, right? We are real humans, we're here. Yes, we do webinars, but we also work with districts and schools. We have program manager colleagues that work with districts and schools all across the country. And we're here to help, again, at no cost. And we're so looking forward to seeing you next time, which will be on March 16th, when we're going to talk about structure and clarity, where we're going to continue this team culture. And then we're going to close out the series in April with building dependability and trust. And I just want to say thank you so much for the space and time you've shared with us today. We know that you're carrying so much, and that it's not lost on us that showing up to today's session is not easy for you, right? Your time is valuable, and we so appreciate that you've shared it with us. You matter so much, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. We hope to see you soon, and take care.
Thank you so much, Yasmin and Christina, for a wonderful presentation. Before we close out, I want to bring your attention to a few resources. CDE has a K-12 mental health listserv. You can sign up to receive information about CDE's resources and events related to mental health. And the America's Healthiest Schools Award program is now live. This is Healthier Generation's annual recognition program that honors schools for the key role they play in advancing the health and well-being of students, staff, and families. School teams may apply for recognition in up to 9 different topic areas, including cultivating staff well-being. So please check that out. And I am going to pause here to see if there are any questions. I did not see any in the Q&A box. All right. So again, as a reminder, please take a minute to fill out the feedback survey. This gives us valuable information that helps us and helps to inform upcoming series. And all of the resources that were shared with you today will be sent out to you as follow-up in an email in about a week or so. I just want to thank you again for sharing your afternoon with us. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.